What would you ask someone who's been in the QB room with Aaron Rodgers? Well, if you were us, you wouldn't ask him anything about football. You would ask him how he creates his content and builds his brand. In this episode, we get to talk to a former NFL quarterback and current CFL quarterback, Chris Streveler. We talked to him about his playing career and how he is now helping young quarterbacks reach college and the NFL. Plus, how he's using content to build his own brand. Let's jump into this episode with Chris Streveler.
Before we jump into today's episode with Chris Streveler, I want to tell you about our newsletter, the Athlete Creator Club. This is the newsletter that you want to read if you're an athlete who wants to create content on the internet and build your brand. If you're an athlete who wants to get those brand deals, you're a high school, college athlete, want to get those NIL deals, you want to build your brand and grow your influence, this is the newsletter you want to read every week. We create playbooks from the top professional athletes, college athletes, high school athletes, and youth players who are creating content and building their brand online so you can leverage the playbooks that they're using in your own athletic career. Because it's one thing to be the best on the field. You got to capitalize that so you can be the best off the field as well. And it's free to join. Just go to Brolletts.com, put in your email address, and you'll start getting our emails to learn all about how you can build your brand online as an athlete at the Athlete Creator Club. Head to Brolletts.com. Now let's get into today's episode.
How's rehab going? Are we going to see you back on the field for the Blue Bombers this season?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I just re-signed about a month ago, so I'm going back up there this year. This will be my 8th professional season. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited. It's good going back to a place where I'm familiar. You know, I started my career up there, and then went back last year. So this will be my 4th year in Winnipeg. Rehab's going good. Knees feeling strong, healthy. Just had a checkup a couple days ago, so everything's on track to be ready to go by May when we start fall camp. So I'm excited to give it another run here.
That's awesome. Right around the corner. I want to go back and talk about what seems like a pivotal moment, watching some of your interviews, some of the people you've talked to when you transferred to South Dakota State, right? That seems like it was a kind of that turning point, that jump off. Just talk about like that transitional period and what made that such a pivotal part of your journey.
Yeah. I gotta say, everyone always says South Dakota State. We're University of South Dakota Yotes, baby. So that's our rival. So we always get that one. And I always got to say, no, it's South Dakota. We're the Yotes. But I get it, man. And, you know, when I got there, so I was playing at Minnesota for 3 years. And, you know, I started a game, singular A game. And then, you know, I just couldn't really find my way on the field. I was playing a lot of receiver and running back and just really trying to do different things to get on the field. Ultimately, it just wasn't going to happen. So that was back in the day when you kind of had to graduate to be able to transfer and go to any school. It's not like it is now with the transfer portal and all this stuff. So I was like, okay, let me go through spring ball, playing receiver, see what happens. I'm going to take like 21 credits, finish my degree. That way everything's kind of on the table. So that's what I did. So I went through spring ball receiver, had a great time, fun learning a different position and just like seeing the game from another guy's perspective, right? Because when you're a quarterback all the time, that's the only perspective you know. But when you get out there and you put yourself actually in the receiver's shoes, first of all, it makes you appreciate what they're going through, but it also allows you to see the game through their eyes and what works for them. And so you can kind of speak that language. So, ultimately, I think that made me a better quarterback. But I got my degree, finished spring ball, kind of decided, okay, this isn't going to happen. And that's when I looked at transferring. So when I was coming out, I actually had much bigger schools that wanted me to go as a receiver, actually. So I had like Arizona State, Wisconsin, Northern Illinois. And then, it was really smaller schools that wanted me to play quarterback. It was all like FCS. So it was like Tennessee Tech, Western Illinois, and South Dakota. And South Dakota was the first visit that I took and just kind of fell in love with it. And just the idea of getting to play that position again was something that was super exciting. And I love quarterback and everything that goes into that. So kind of jumped at the opportunity and then just kind of went from there.
Let's talk about your 5 a.m. club in college. Why did you do it? Did you feel like you had to, or were you just wired that way?
So that started when my first year as a professional. So I joined the Bombers, and we had an older guy who was starting. He was 10 plus years in his 30s, and there's always a transition for guys as they go from college to pros. Just learning how to be a professional and not having to do school anymore, right? So now this is your job. So how do you how do you structure your day around that? And so I started my first few games up there, my rookie year, and you're learning a new game, you're getting caught up to a different league, and so that's kind of how it started. Is the starter was like, yo, like I come in at 5 a.m. every morning, like you should do it too. And I'm just a guy that's like, if someone else is doing something like work ethic wise, like I have to do it. I can't not do it. So I'm like, oh, he's coming in at 5, I gotta come in at 5, and that's just how it started, man. We started watching film together every morning at 5. And, we'd get a couple hours in, drink some coffee, we'd turn on like the iPad, and that's when like the Last Chance U was going. So we put that on in the background. And we had a fun time of it, man, but it really like helped me take ownership of my process as a professional and kind of diving into, okay, this is your job now. This is what you do. And so that was kind of my introduction as a rookie to like, this is what your process needs to be if you want to be a professional, you want to be successful.
What's the biggest difference between the CFL and the NFL?
Oh man, that's a big question because, on one hand, there's rule differences, right? So in the CFL, the field is bigger. So we're talking 65 yards wide as opposed to 53. And then you have 110 yards as opposed to 100. And then you have 20-yard end zones on top of that. So the dimensions of the field are different, which affects the spacing and the timing of the game. To me, the NFL is very matchup based and very timing based. To me, the CFL is much more spacing based because it's a bigger field. And with that, you also have 12 guys on offense and defense. So, in regular personnel, most teams are in 5 wide. So you got 5 receivers, 5 O-linemen, running back, quarterback. And then really there's another DB on the field too. So that took some adjusting for me as a quarterback, reading defenses, right, where there's another guy. The other thing rule-wise is everyone can move towards the line of scrimmage as the ball is being snapped. So you have what's called a waggle. So all you have guys on the end of the line, but your other couple receivers, your running back, they can run towards the line of scrimmage. And so when that's happening, the defense is also moving, right? In the NFL game, in the American game, the game is very stagnant. And so the defense is never really moving unless you motion somebody or whatever. But in the CFL, the whole defense is moving, the picture's changing. So learning where to put your eyes, what those defensive keys are to recognize coverage was a bit of an adjustment. In terms of the talent level, being down in the NFL and quite honestly seeing the lack of respect that the CFL gets, I'm always the first person to tell guys like, dude, there are some serious players up here. And, so much of professional football is just being at the right place at the right time, ready to take advantage of that opportunity. And a lot of the guys in the CFL have the talent to play in the NFL. They just weren't at the right place at the right time. And it just didn't work out for whatever reason. Me, I was in the right place at the right time. The way things shook out, I go to the CFL, the starter gets hurt. I start the first 3 games of my career. I have success. I have a package from there. He gets hurt the next year. We go win a championship. And then I have opportunities to go play in the NFL. So, that could have been, I go to a different team, we're having a different conversation now. So that's how I always describe it. And I'm always the first to tell guys like, there's a lot of talent up there. There's some serious players that could play in the league, probably some guys that you would recognize from college. And I always tell guys too, like, if you're not doing anything in the summer and it's just like baseball on, turn on a CFL game. It's so exciting. It's very fast paced and it's just fun to watch. And so I always tell people, man, give it a chance. Go in with an open mind. It's fun to watch.
That's amazing. It reminds me, we obviously come from the baseball world. It reminds me of like JUCO versus D1 of just like these guys that are like, man, you're playing JUCO. He's like, yeah, I'm facing a pitcher that throws 98 and he's nasty, right? And just the talent level now, and we're going to talk about this with what you're doing with the training business now, but the talent level of these kids is just so high, and just having other opportunities for them to play is so important. I want to talk about maybe some of the not so fun stuff, but I want to do it in a way that to help a lot of young players to learn is that, you didn't get drafted out of college, did go to the CFL, you had NFL opportunities and were released and cut and changed teams, like all the not so glamorous stuff, right? But you've learned a lot through that. What can others, or maybe what have you learned about your ability to just keep going and keep pushing and, having faith that, hey, if I just keep doing what I'm really good at, another opportunity is going to come. Another opportunity is going to come. Because again, like you said, you're recovering from an injury that as a new dad, you'd be like, you know what, let's hang it up. Like, I'll just go coach other kids now, but you still want to keep playing. How have you thought about that? Or what have you learned about continuing to push towards your own dreams?
First of all, I like talking about the stuff that's not fun to talk about because that's real. That's football. You want to be a professional football player. You want to be a professional athlete. That's what the journey looks like for 98% of guys, man.
Yeah.
There's the 1% of guys that are the first round picks that get every opportunity in the world. But most of the rest of the guys, man, their journey looks like mine, where you got to scratch and claw for everything. And so just to jump back to the last thing you said about the knee is like, part of my motivation coming back from this is definitely the kids that I coach, because I coach like 4 kids right now that are coming back from ACLs. And so like, I kind of take pride in being able to show like, I'm going to go back. I'm still going to be a mobile quarterback. I'm still going to go be a professional. I'm going to have success. And I did an ACL, MCL, and PCL. So, I want to show that I can come back from that. And I want to use that to like, be able to help other kids come through that with their mindset and show that they can overcome that. So, all the things that I've been through, getting cut, I've been injured, any situation you name in football, I've probably been there, except for being a draft pick, which is probably an easy thing to talk about. So, I use that to, it's cultivated a mindset that is very resilient. And it's taught me that you got to face adversity head on. Right. And when you're going through those hard times in life, it reveals who you really are as a person, because it's easy to be top of the mountain, working hard, high energy guy when you're playing, you're starting, you're the guy. But when you just got cut for the 4th time in a matter of 6 months, when you just got injured, when you're not getting the reps you think you're getting, who are you? Right? How do you show up for yourself and those around you and your teammates? The attitude that you have. That says way more about a person than the starter being a happy-go-lucky guy, high energy. What about the guy who just got hurt or the guy that just got cut? How is he working? How's he carrying himself? The dude that keeps his head down and keeps grinding, that's the guy that's going to make it. Because eventually in sports, you're going to encounter adversity. You don't know when it's going to happen. It could be high school, it could be professional. But how you respond to that adversity is going to dictate where your career goes. If you just give up and lay down, okay, that's going to be the end of it for you. You can go get a regular job. But if you keep pushing and keep your head down, at the end of the day, however it works out, you'll have no regrets. You'll be able to look in the mirror and say, I emptied the tank every single day. I maximized my talent. I worked as hard as I could every day, and I'm at peace with that. Whether I go pro or not, or however this thing shakes out, I can look in the mirror and say, I gave it everything I have, and I can move on to the next thing and apply that same work ethic and mindset to whatever's next. Because a lot of these people in the regular world, they never been through what it looks like to be a professional athlete. And so they don't have that mindset. And so, as you zoom out a little bit and look at the long scope view of things, it's like I'm turning 30, getting ready to move into the next phase, applying everything that I've been through that's helped me be a professional quarterback to the next phase. That's what gives me confidence moving into that. So I know that's a long-winded answer, but I could talk about this stuff all day because this what's real. Everyone sees you on TV, everyone sees this and that, but the behind the curtain, behind the scenes things, that's what really dictates who's a professional and who's going to make it.
Yeah, I think it's so inspiring to also be the guy doing it, right? Like, hey, I'm 30. I'm played multiple teams. I'm coming back from a knee injury. You're 21 in the prime of your life right now. You could do this too, right? And it's so cool to be doing it while also teaching it. It's super inspiring.
Do you have any tips to mentally reset after a setback?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, everyone's different, right? And it took me a while to learn how to reset because, we talked about my Minnesota time. And when I got there, I put a lot of pressure on myself to like, all right, I got to go to the league. I got to do this. I got to do that. And I think it really hurt me mentally. And I think I struggled because of it. And so being able to find that offset in life that allows you to separate from sports. Like I'm sure you love sports. I see you got the baseball fit on right now. Like I'm sure you just like me as a kid, you think about this stuff all the time. But as you get older and it becomes a job, just like, college is pretty much a job now. You have to find things that you love outside of sports so you can mentally put that down, because there's going to be times when you have a bad game, right? And you don't want to be thinking about that all day. Of course, you want to think about it. Okay, what can I correct? What went wrong? But you want to be able to move on with your day a little bit and put that down so you're not just thinking about it and letting it fester inside and now you're upset about it, whatever. So finding those things, like I love to go out in nature. I love to go on hikes. I love to spend time with my girlfriend. Obviously, I have a daughter now. So my perspective is a little bit different where I have things that are clearly more important. But for you and for younger athletes, like finding something that you like to do outside of sports. So if you have a bad game, you have a bad day, you're able to go do something else, put that down, and then come back to it. That doesn't mean you're giving up. It just means, hey, let me just set that down. Let me try to clear my mind, and I can come back to this with a fresh perspective. And that's something I had to learn in college when I transferred. And, I try to tell athletes that now, and something I always talk about too is like having a process that gives you confidence. So even though you have a setback, even though you have a bad game, what's my process? How am I going to get back into the week and have a routine that makes me feel confident and prepared? And so, doing things like that is what helps you mentally reset when things aren't quite going your way.
You started posting QB training videos in May 2023. Why? What pushed you to start?
So, yeah, we started doing some quarterback coaching, maybe it was a year before that, but like we didn't know social media. Like I'm not a content creator, like I'm just a quarterback. And so my partner, he was a quarterback coach at Arizona State, and we kind of just got connected and we're like, all right, like we both know quarterback, we both love the game, we love pouring into younger athletes, like let's do this. And so we just kind of started coaching, and it was all just basically word of mouth, traveling from, parents and players, which ultimately is the best recommendation you can ever get. But we're like, okay, how do we actually grow this thing as a business? And one of the things everyone talks about is social media, putting yourself out there. And I got no problem talking on camera. I got no problem, being recorded. It just kind of comes with the territory when you're a quarterback. So, it just was something that kind of just happened. And then really when I came back from this season, I got injured, and I used that time to kind of catapult my mindset with the training business. Cause I'm like, I'm not just going to sit here, be injured and feel bad for myself. I'm going to work on the next thing. So that's what I started working on. And, so when I got back to Arizona, I was like, you know what, I'm going to try to post like almost every single day and just see what happens. And so that's what's happened, whether it's mic'd up stuff, whether it's highlighting guys we're training, whether it's doing a drill or a whiteboard session, just putting some knowledge out there and just, not trying to receive anything for it, just putting myself out there, putting my knowledge out there. And, in turn, that's helped the business grow. We've had some partnerships with some big companies, some really exciting stuff that's in the works right now coming this next year. So, I mean, it's obviously paying off, and you hear everyone say it, but you don't really know what you're doing. So, the best way to learn is to just start, right? I heard somebody say this the other day. Don't let perfection get in the way of progress. Just because it's not perfect doesn't mean you shouldn't start. Just start putting it out there, and you'll get reps, and you'll see what's working and what's not, and then you can adjust. So that's kind of been my mindset, and I'm still learning and adjusting, and it's definitely not perfect, but I think it's getting better. So we'll see where it goes.
It's getting better. It's definitely working. And you're right. Like, how do you run the play in the game, right? You practice it and you get better and you see what works, you see what doesn't. One format that I really like that you're doing, and this is what we teach a lot of athletes to do too, is bring a camera to what you're already doing, right? So I know you do these training sessions with, high school, college guys, and you're just bringing a camera guy that, like, you're doing it anyway. You're doing the work. And now I think it's really cool for the business side because they get to see what a session is like, what the coaching is like. They get to see that you're really good at what you do. Talk us through how you're just like, called up a video guy and you're like, hey, we got practice this afternoon. You want to come film it? And then chopping it up. Like, talk through a little bit of that, because I think to me, that's one of the best ways to create content is to film what you're already doing versus trying to go and create. It's like, no, I'm coaching anyway. Just come and film that.
Right. And it comes off way more organic when you do that because you're already just doing it. So you can just be yourself. And so the way it came about for me was just like one of the dads that kind of has been helping us with this whole thing, helped us with some content stuff. We've trained his son. He's like, yo, I got this camera. Like, I'm going to come on and shoot some stuff. So that's pretty much how it happened. We're like, yeah, his name's Eric. We're like, thank you. We're like, that's awesome. And it doesn't even need to be that. Like, nowadays, the iPhone camera is good enough. All you got to do is get a mic and a receiver and have anyone take a video of you. So that's kind of how it happened. And he just has a really nice camera, and the quality turns out really, really great. And he's an awesome dude. So I'm so thankful that he was doing that for us. But yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like, when you talk about athletes building brands and building their brand, it's like, just showcase what you're already doing. And I think this younger generation that's coming up is much more comfortable, like being around camera, like being in front of the camera and, you know, going on YouTube, like you're wearing the YouTuber stuff right now. So like you kind of grow up seeing that. Like for my generation, I'm a little bit older. So I was born in 95. And so it's not as natural from a content side of things. And so I've kind of had to learn that, but I think you're spot on. Like if you want to help athletes grow their brand, just tell them, dude, just record what you're already doing. You have a platform as an athlete. Just capitalize on that. And who knows, like, what people gravitate to that you're already doing, right? We talked about having something outside of sports that you like sharing that. It brings a human element to things, and like maybe other people are super interested in it. Maybe you're into like trading cards, and maybe you start showcasing that, and maybe people are into that, and you find a niche that works for you, and you're an athlete. Now you're kind of double dipping. So, you know, I tell athletes that all the time, and I think you're spot on with just showcasing what you're already doing because it comes off organic.
Love that.
What's your process to go from filming those practices to getting them chopped up and actually posting them?
Gosh, it's such a process, man. And I'm sure you guys know when you're chopping this stuff up, it's like it's the biggest time thing. Like doing this for an hour or whatever is not really that big of a time thing. Cutting them up takes forever. So it kind of depends. Like if I have somebody out there recording, I do like a couple different things. Like either I'm recording another guy doing stuff and I kind of delete as I go. So I'll like take a video of him throwing. If it's bad, I just delete it so I don't even have to worry about trying to watch it later. So then I just use like CapCut. So I just put all that stuff together on CapCut, slice the things together. It's super easy. I'm sure you guys have done that before. And then I got introduced to this other app called Opus Clip. I don't know if you guys have used that for the podcast, but
Yep.
You just basically put in, you know, the long clips and then it chops it up into social media clips. And then you can kind of cut it down from there. So I've done that for some of my like longer speaking stuff. Like I got that last speaking clip I put up like 2 days ago. I got that from Opus Clip. Any classroom sessions I do that are like 40 minutes, I just record those, put them in there. And so it's a nice way, and I don't use all of them. I just use the couple that I like, but it's a nice way to get like 4 clips where you don't necessarily have to do all the work. You can chop it down and AI enhance it and do that stuff. But that's kind of my process. But in terms of like my time, I got to get up early and do this stuff because as you can see, I've got dad duties. As you get older and older, there's more stuff that goes on. You don't just have free time to do things. So, you know, I got to get up early and do this stuff. But, you know, if you make it a priority, you get it done. And then trying to schedule stuff out ahead of time too. I'm sure you guys have done that with social media as well, as like get your posts ready, schedule them out. So it's not like 8:00 on Wednesday, like, damn, I didn't post today, you know? So. Yeah. Just a couple things that I've learned, and I'm definitely not an expert. So there's people that know more than me, but I'm just figuring it out like any average Joe out there.
I think it's really cool because almost every athlete that we talk to, they're just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just film and then I figure it out. And I love that you found some AI tools and things like that. Editing is the hardest part in this whole process because that's not who we are as athletes, as players. Like, I don't mind doing the thing. Like even this, like you can talk for an hour with your eyes closed. Like you can answer these questions, but now you're like, oh, now I got to do something with all that footage. Does make it a little more difficult. So I love that answer because I think too many people try to overcomplicate it. They want the cool gear. They want like, no, just film it with your iPhone, throw it into CapCut, throw the captions on it and go and learn, you know, which videos get some pickup.
And you don't know until you start, right? So if you're like, I got to get this, you're never going to start. Just start and put something out there and maybe people gravitate towards it. And then you can go from there, but you got to get reps. You just got to put it out there so you know what people like.
Yeah, exactly. I want to you got another, so you mentioned a couple of styles, right? So we've seen a lot of the videos you've been posting lately have been like maybe whether it's a seminar or a lecture that you're doing. You also have the on the field stuff, but you also do you did them a lot in the beginning was like the whiteboard stuff. And I love that. It's also kind of unique to football too, right? Is like you could draw plays, you're drawing coverages. It's a really unique and engaging style. And again, I think it just shows like your expertise of like, you know, here's the A gap, B gap. This is what the defense is doing. How do you adjust? Talk about that style. I think you did a really good job of some of those. And it's kind of unique. It shows off expertise. I got to imagine if you're a true player, like you love getting into the X's and O's of the game.
Yeah, I love the X and O's. I kind of stopped doing it just because like it wasn't doing numbers on social media. But like, it's funny that you say that because I've had like 4 other guys be like, dude, where's the whiteboard Wednesdays at? Like, you got to bring them back. So I was out golfing with a buddy yesterday. I didn't get to record it, but I've got a bunch of things already drawn up on my whiteboard. I'm about to record like 7 of them today. So it's coming back. So I appreciate that. But yeah, it's just about showing the different things that you know and putting yourself out there. Like, I think there's kind of a place for everything, right? Like, okay, number one, I'm doing whiteboard stuff that obviously shows expertise. It shows X's and O's knowledge, which is a bit of an outlier in the quarterback training world, because a lot of those guys are quarterback trainers and they're not football. They don't know the game like a 8-year professional. And that's just speaking honestly. Um, And then it starts showcasing our athletes, right? Putting together a little montage of them, which shows credibility that you're training high-level guys, and also kind of promotes them. And like the kids love when you put a little highlight together for them. So perfect. We both benefit. I collaborate with you. Collaborating with other people is huge, because then you tap into their audience. Now they're looking at your stuff, and there you go. And then there's like the mic'd up stuff that I'm doing, which is on the field, kind of showing like my coaching style. Which I'm a high energy guy. Like, I'm not afraid to get on you a little bit. Like, I'm not gonna yell at guys, but like, there's a style of coaching where like, hey, you want to go to college? All right. Like, there's a standard there. You don't just get to mope around. And I'm all about energy and effort. I'm not requiring you to be a perfect quarterback. That doesn't exist. But when you're on the field with me, I'm expecting effort. I'm expecting high energy, because if you put energy into a session and you're putting effort in, I guarantee your session's going to be better. And I've seen it with kids with my own eyes. Like, they come out Mr. Nonchalant. All the kids want to be nonchalant and cool now. And it's like, dude, run around, jog around. I want to see you sweating. Like, let's work. And then the kid comes back the next session and has the best session of his life. He's all energetic, high-fiving. And I'm like, this isn't a coincidence, bro. You didn't get this much better overnight. Like, you just came with better energy, and there's something to that. So there's that. And then also, there's an element that I've started doing some public speaking stuff, talking about mindset, talking about leadership. And so being able to showcase some of those classroom sessions where I'm talking about that stuff. Obviously gave a talk a couple days ago that I put out the other day, and just showcasing, a little bit of my mindset and sharing that with athletes. That's something that I want to continue to do more of, whether that's with athletes or business people. I think there's a ton of carryover between the mindset of overcoming adversity and leadership, and there's a ton of crossovers. So, I'm hitting kind of a bunch of different things, but ultimately what it boils down to is just putting myself out there, trying to create my brand and show people who I am. I'm not doing anything different because I'm on social media. Just like you said, I'm just recording what I'm doing and miking myself up and putting the clips out there and letting that take me where it may.
Well, you're doing a great job of it. And just one thing I'll say on the whiteboard stuff is, a lot of us, and us included, like, we're all chasing views, right? That's what, the more views, the better. But at the same time, like, chasing the right views, and we're going to talk about ground up in a second, is like, maybe the guys watching the whiteboard stuff are the people that are going to come and, want to spend a day with you, or, versus just getting 50,000 views of random football fans. Anyway, just something to think about too, of like who you're attracting with what content. But
it's funny you say that, because like some of the a lot of the higher level guys are the ones that are like, dude, I love the whiteboard Wednesdays, because they understand it. I had a kid that was like, he plays in the indoor league, and he was like doing an interview with the coach. He's like, dude, I literally just plagiarized your whiteboard Wednesday. Like, I just read it and just like sent it back to the coach, and the coach was like, whoa, X's and O's so good. So I'm like, you know what? Whatever you got to do, man. I'm just happy people are watching them. So yeah, I think you're spot on there too.
What do you wish you were doing with your content and personal brand if you had unlimited time and resources?
Unlimited time and resources. Well, I'd probably get a better camera for my classroom stuff, because the TV comes out a little janky. But look, if I had unlimited time and resources, I would just have somebody follow me around all the time and just vlog my life. Because if you guys saw the way that I move on a day-to-day basis, I am jumping around, running around. Like, I had one of my best friends. We played in Winnipeg together. I was his best man in his wedding. He came down and visited for like 2 days. And he's like, dude, I thought this was going to be a relaxing 2 days. I'm more gassed than I was traveling here. Like, I'm just always doing something. And it's because one of my daily goals, and I write down all my goals, and I encourage all my athletes to do that too, and we talk about how to do that stuff, was just do one thing a day to move the needle. Right? Do one thing a day. And you hear the term 1%, and it's so cliche, but like, if you get 1% better every day, or do something that's pushes that envelope 1% over the course of a year, that's a lot of percentages. And I've seen that come to fruition in my own life. And that's how I've gotten where I've gotten. Is it's not because I'm just simply the best and I just wake up and I'm just better than you. It's because I just don't stop. And I'm just going to keep going, and I'm going to do 1% more, and I'm going to work hard. That's always been my edge, is my energy and my work ethic. And so it's not any different than now. So ultimately, long-winded answer to your question is, I would just have somebody follow me around, vlog it, chop it up for me, and that'd be great. Unfortunately, I don't have those time or resources, and I don't know if my baby or my wife would want a stranger in the house at all times. But that'd be fun to do, and maybe we get there someday. And I think there's a time and a place though too. Like, hey, I'm about to go do this really cool camp, or I'm about to go give a really cool speech. Like, then bring somebody in at that point. So there's a time and a place when you can't do it 24/7.
Completely agree.
How did Ground Up start? And how did you handle the business side of Ground Up while still training as a pro QB?
So yeah, like Ground Up started with me and my partner just getting connected and just kind of again saying, hey, we love coaching quarterbacks. We know quarterbacks. We have a unique blend of not only mechanical knowledge but also X's and O's knowledge. Being I'm a professional and he was a college coach, so that's kind of how it started. Fortunately for me, like having a partner like makes a lot of sense for me right now as I continue to be a professional, because he's here in Arizona year round, so he can keep things going and continue to train. And then I can come back in and kind of seamlessly work in, be at our group sessions, do private training. And really the partnership is kind of, it's formulated in a way that is really beneficial for our brand and kind of allows us to hit all levels of athletes. Like for me, as I move forward as a coach, like I want to continue to work with high level guys. Like I want to work with college guys. Like I want to train guys for the pro day as they get ready to go to the professional levels. So I had the opportunity to do that with a guy this year, quarterback from Wisconsin Whitewater, D3 school. Jason Sonetti's his name, but like that was the first pro day a guy I really got to like. That was my guy. The year before, I got to do some work with Spencer Rattler and Jack Plummer. That was more just like classroom stuff, doing whiteboard stuff. But that was like what kind of sparked that fire is like, okay, I have a unique knowledge of mechanics and X's and O's. And I also have the mindset of like, okay, this is what 99% of guys' journey is going to look like in the NFL. I can help you navigate those opportunities. I can help you navigate what that's going to look like when you've been the starter in college for 4 years and now you're the third stringer. How do you react to that? How do you carry yourself? How do you still provide value to a room? Like I've been in that position, so I understand what it looks like. And so I think I have a unique perspective that's really going to be able to help those guys. So that's where I want to go. I want to continue to work with college guys, pro day guys, and obviously still going to work with high school kids and everything, but like that's where I'm kind of going. And then my partner being here all the time, he's the one running the group sessions when I've gone. He's working with all our high school kids. He runs the youth sessions. So we have a nice blend where we're able to kind of hit different things. And it's allowed us to kind of maximize both of our connections within the Valley of like, we've done partnerships with Lululemon. We're in talks right now, partnering up with Exos, one of the premier like pro day trainers in the country. We've done some really cool stuff, like just from relationships wise. He was a coach, so he has a ton of relationships with high school coaches, which has helped kind of feed kids into our program as well. So, again, long-winded answer, but that's kind of the scope of what we're doing and how our partnership works and how this thing rolls while I'm still playing football.
So much talent in young QBs today. Everyone is great, getting great coaching, working with pros like you and Trey. What separates those that rise up and stand out versus the rest?
That's a great question, man. That's a great question. To me, it's work ethic. It's all work ethic. Like at your age, how old are you?
12.
All right, you're 12 years old, okay? At your age, if you just work hard, you are going to get so much better. Like, and there's so many good coaches out there. Like, there's plenty of good coaching. Like, all you got to do is work hard and do things right. Like working hard on the field and in school, because that stuff carries over. And I just talked to some kids. I said, look, how you do anything is how you do everything. How you treat your parents, how you treat your friends, how you treat your teachers, how hard you work on the field, how hard you work in class. You're not going to be a great quarterback, specifically quarterback, if you only work hard on the field and you don't work hard in school and you don't treat your parents right and you don't do these other things right. It's not going to translate. You have to do everything right. And so that's what makes a good quarterback good, is they do everything right all the time. When I was talking to the kids last week, I said, imagine if there was a Division I coach watching you all the time. How would you act? That's how you need to carry yourself at all times. If everyone was recording you, just like we talked about, if everyone was recording you and that was going to be on TV, how would you act? And that's how you need to carry yourself if you want to be a Division I athlete, if you want to be a professional, because that's what professionals do. And so it all just comes down to work ethic and how you treat people. And that value was instilled to me by my dad a long time ago. He said, if work hard and treat people right, and good things will happen. And I've lived my life based on that, and I've seen it come to fruition for me. So if I was going to give you some advice, or any young kid listening, is just work hard and be good to people, and good things will happen for you.
What a great answer. What a simple answer. But it's so true. And how you take care of people. People remember that, right? Like the coach, you're going to need a recommendation at some point. You're going to need someone to make an introduction for you at some point. And the way you take care of people is just so, so vital. Love that you said that. We're going to jump into some rapid fire questions so you can get back to family time this morning. So got some fun ones for you. Colt, shoot them away.
Tell us about the fur coat.
The fur coat was just kind of a crazy idea I had when we were going to make our playoff run. I like told it to my girlfriend at the time in like October. I'm like, if we win the Grey Cup, I'm putting a fur coat on. Like, I don't know where it came from. And sure enough, we won it. I had a broken ankle and I played through it. And so it was just like the ultimate, like, oh my gosh, we did it. We're putting a fur coat on. I didn't think that people would dress up as me for Halloween. I didn't think grown men would come to football games dressed up in it. Took on a whole life of its own. But man, what a special time. And ultimately glad I did it because it's a lifelong memory.
What's your favorite pregame meal?
Oh, favorite pregame meal? I just been doing pasta lately, man. I do either like a chicken pesto pasta, or just like a red sauce with chicken. You got to get the carbs, but you got to get some protein. But like, I can't eat too much. But I'm big into the supplements too. So I'll do like some good pre-workout. I have like a nice little like mushroom coffee thing that I drink. So I'm down the rabbit hole a little bit with that stuff.
Who's the best QB you've trained or played with?
Ooh, best QB I've played with. Well, man, that's a long list. Like, I played with Aaron Rodgers, so he's pretty good. Like, played with Lamar, he's pretty good. Tua, Kyler, been with some really, really good guys. Joe Flacco, great dude. So I've been around some really good guys, man, and I just feel extremely fortunate that I've like gotten to be in the same room as those guys and just be a sponge, soak up as much information. Like, I remember when I was in the room with Aaron, like, I'm writing down everything this dude says. I save all my notebooks, so I have hundreds of notebooks in my desk over there, just like of invaluable knowledge. So I'm extremely fortunate to get to have been in the room with those guys and apply that knowledge to my own game, and then give that to the next generation too, so they can be better than I was.
Say, like, how valuable is that to like pull out the Aaron Rodgers notebook with a young guy that you're working with, right? It's like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's and like having the old game plans too, like, oh, this is what we did on the, like, and being able to see that. And to me, that like really hammers home the mental side of the game, because I'm really big on preaching that. I'm sure, as you can tell, like, hey, this is what an NFL game plan looks like. Are you dialed in enough to learn this? This is what a playbook looks like. This is one day and it's this thick. You got to know this. And when you're the third string, guess what? You get 3 plays. So you can't mess any of those plays up, right? So like, to me, it really hammers home that mental side. Like, hey, this is what Aaron Rodgers thinks about the game. This is how he thinks about the game. So this is the direction we got to start working, because he's unbelievably dialed in. I've never met somebody that knows the game like that. And so again, just passing that on to the kids, and that hammers home the mental side. Like, this is what the best guys in the world do. It's not just because they're the most talented. Sometimes they are, but it's because they got this locked in, and this can make up for a lot of inadequacies physically.
What's the best advice you've been given from a coach or mentor?
Oh man, I think I just gave it to you. Work hard and treat people right. You know, that's the best advice, and it's so simple. It's simple when you say it, but sometimes it's hard to do. Sometimes you don't want to work hard. Sometimes you're tired. I just told this to a kid earlier. I said, hey, look, man, it's discipline over motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Like, you could watch a video and be inspired to go work out, but there's going to be days when you wake up and you didn't get good sleep, or you're tired, or you had to stay up and do homework, whatever that is. Are you still going to work hard that day? Because the days when you don't want to work hard, those are the days when you have to go the hardest, because you're teaching your body and your mind that I can overcome this. Like, if you can't overcome being tired, how are you going to be able to overcome tearing 3 ligaments in your knee? Are you going to be able to overcome getting cut 4 times in 6 months and not having a job? You know, being tired is the minimal amount of adversity. So we got to get the crust out of our eyes and get to work, even if we don't want to.
What's the best advice you'd give a football player that wants to start creating content?
I think we said it earlier too, right? Is just like, film what you're already doing and take advantage of the platform that you have. I wish somebody would have told me this when I was on the Cardinals. Like, when I was in the league, I should have been making content, because I have the shield behind me. And nowadays in college, and even high school, man, like, you guys know how to do social media. You guys know how to work YouTube. Like, I had to learn this stuff. So you go to high school and you're playing, you go to college, like, if you're at a Division I college and you're not at least putting your brand out there and starting to create your brand centered around things that you like, and at the very least football and sports, like you're missing out on opportunities to collaborate and make money because people want to be involved with you. And you don't realize that as an athlete at the time. I remember I was in college and we would have these networking events with professionals. I'd be like, why are we here? And now I'm chomping at the bit to network with people because they want to be a part. They want to be around athletes. And so as an athlete, it's so important that you understand people want to be around you. If you're a high level athlete, business people, they want to meet you because they think it's cool. And so you leverage that into business opportunities and meeting people because, as we were kind of talking about, relationships matter. Relationships matter. And that's why I never burned a bridge in my career. If you talk to any of my coaches, no matter what happened, I had a transfer, I got cut, I did it with a smile on my face and I moved on because you never know what's going to come back for you or what that person is going to say about you or how it's going to translate, especially in the sports world, because everything is so interconnected. So treat those people right. And like I said, just start using your platform to leverage that into opportunities, in the sports world and beyond.
What's got you fired up and excited right now in content, in business, and in your career?
Oh man, well, I'm just excited to get back up and play in a couple months. Like, knees feeling good. Like, I'm just feeling more and more explosive. I'm feeling like myself, and I'm just excited to get back up there and play with the boys. Business wise, like I said, we got some good partnerships in the works right now. We're in talks with trying to put together a couple camps with Exos where we're going to partner with them, which would be a great opportunity to get some high level college and pro day guys in there, and also high schoolers as well. So that's really exciting. And then personally, I got this little chicken nugget right now. So there's nothing more exciting than getting to wake up and see this sweet girl every morning. So just a lot of really cool things going on in my life, and I'm busy, but I'm enjoying every single moment because I talk to guys like you and they tell me, hey man, it goes fast. Next thing you know, they're 12 years old and you're playing baseball in the yard with them. So, I'm just trying to soak every moment up.
You did a great job. She did an amazing job. Like, she's a media rock star already. I love it.
And real nice there. That was good. That was really
It was, man. Well, thank you so much for doing this today. Groundupquarterback.com. Obviously, we'll link up all the social medias. Anything else? Any other programs or anything you want to make sure we shout out for anybody listening?
Yeah, man, we got the Ground Up QB. And then if you guys are interested in the X's and O's and the mental side of football, we just started a virtual platform. It's called Ground Up University. It's on the website. First month's free. You just put in code university. Otherwise, it's like $40 a month. So it's super cheap. And just want to collaborate with guys. We have a weekly session, and then we hop on a live Zoom together once a month where I get on the whiteboard, we ask questions, and we can kind of interact. So that's been really exciting to get to kind of build that platform out of state. So if there's any out of state guys that want to talk X's and O's, shoot me a message, sign up for the program. Would love to work with you guys.
That one, we had questions on that, but I wanted to be careful on time. But man, to me, that's a no brainer, man. $40 to talk to an NFL, a CFL guy who's working with guys that got like $40 a month. That you guys are insane. So hopefully you guys get a ton of members on that. We'll make sure that we plug it a ton. But I mean, you're getting access to ask, a guy who's been in the huddle, who's, you just heard him earlier in the QB room with, Aaron Rodgers and Tua and these guys, and you get to talk to them and ask them questions about your future as a quarterback. It's a no brainer, man. I think you guys are building something beautiful there.
That's why we priced it where we did. We're like, all right, we're not trying to make a bunch of money on this. We just want to make it accessible for kids. We just want everyone that wants to talk about this stuff and be involved to have access to this. So that's why we put it where it is. So no, I appreciate that plug, and we're excited about it. So anything you guys post on social media, man, tag me in it. I'll repost it, and happy to help you guys grow your platform as well. So like I said, love collaborating with brands and good people like yourself. And Colt, keep working hard, buddy. Get that head down, treat people right, do good in school, and I promise you're going to like where this thing takes you, man. So stay in touch.
Chris, it's been a blast. We'll make sure we link that up. We'll have the university, the coupon code, all that below. Enjoy the rest of the day, your fan, man. This has been a blast.